and running. Everyone good? All right. Good morning, everyone. This is Wednesday, November 9th, 2022. We're going to open up the City Council meeting. And Madam Clerk, thank you for your service. Really appreciate you. We are going to start out with the Pledge of Allegiance, and someone that probably got plenty of sleep, I'm going to send it to Mr. Carl Hall to lead us in the pledge. All right, and I believe Councilwoman Dewar will be late, and I would just want to say welcome to the dais, Miguel. Councilman Martinez. Councilman, okay. All right, I'm going to send it back to you, Madam Clerk, to call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Breckus? Here. Dewar, absent at this time. Martinez? Here. Weber? Here. Taylor? Here. Reese?
Here.
Sheevy?
Here.
Madam Mayor, you do have a quorum of the Reno City Council.
All right, thank you so much. I'm going to send it right back to you for item A3, public comment.
Thank you. Our first item today is opening public comment. It should be noted to those in the audience that comments are to be addressed to the mayor and council as a whole. Comments heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the council's agenda. Please note that council may not take action upon any matter not agendized on today's agenda. When you are called on for public comment, please state your name for the record and begin speaking. The timer will begin when you say your name, and you will be afforded 3 minutes. If you're an attendee in the Zoom meeting and would like to make public comment, please raise your hand at this time. Lastly, while in this room, please be respectful. Warnings will be issued by the presiding officer if there's disruptive behavior, and you will be asked to leave chambers if the behavior continues. Our first public commenter today is Rhonda Thiessen, followed by Terry Brooks, followed by Jeff Church.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Rhonda Tyson. The city has rightly been concerned with wildfire issues. What I have been concerned about are fires in the urban core. And on October 3rd, my fears came to fruition with a fire on the 11th floor of my condo building. That fire was contained to the unit of origin, but in the response, 11 floors, our entire building was damaged beyond repair. I and 23 other households have been dislocated. Drywall has fallen out of the ceilings and off the walls on 11 floors. The damage is nearly beyond comprehension. I'm not here to criticize the Reno Fire Department. I'm here because the night of the fire, the battalion chief told me a report would be available at the end of that week. That report is still not available, and I'm told it won't be until December. I'm here because I am second to none in my admiration for first responders, but I know they made mistakes. I have the photographic evidence that they made mistakes. I'm here to ask the city council, the city manager, the city attorney, to make sure when that report is issued that you are open, transparent, and honest about any mistakes that the city made in responding to my community, which has all been but destroyed. I'm here because I have at least 26 insurance companies that are trying to figure out responsibility, and we don't have an official report from the city as of yet. I'm also here to remind this council that last July you had an opportunity to do something wonderful on the lot that you own that's next door to my building, and you passed on that. And the city council at that time suggested very heavily that you want to put more high-density housing there. I'm here to remind you that you better not cram more high-density housing into an area if you do not have the capacity to respond to the urban core as it now exists. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rhonda. I'm going to have Chief Cochran meet with you. Chief? I appreciate that. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'd also like to participate in that meeting. So my liaison will work with Chief Cochran, and we'll see what we can do from a city to get some answers to you.
You should have them immediately.
Terry Brooks, followed by Jeff Church, followed by Randall Lorenz.
Good morning, it's me, Terry Brooks again. And today I'd like to speak to you about following a good example to poverty from yet another point of view. Once there was a good man who cared so much about others, he always treated everyone as if they were sisters and brothers. There were several fishermen who left their boats to follow him. There was even a tax collector who left his job to follow him. But there was a rich young man who owned a lot of possessions. He found himself so wealthy he never needed any professions. The good man told him to sell what he had and then to follow him. But he wasn't willing to do so, so he turned away from him. This good man was without a home and had no place to lay his head. But he had so many followers, he stayed with them instead. He taught several of his friends, those who followed him, to go to help and teach other people and to stay with them. He told them several stories about people doing a good deed when they were somewhere and saw someone else in need. And he told a story about a rich man and a poor man in need. The poor man wound up in good hands, but the rich man wound up in need. He spoke about a poor woman who gave what little she had, which in a way was a lot more than what the rich people had. He said that those who helped clothe others also helped to clothe him, but those who did not help to clothe others did not help to clothe him. He said those who invited strangers in also invited him in, but those who did not invite strangers in did not invite him in. This good man knew he wouldn't be there for long, so he sent out all who followed him so they could then teach to others what he had taught to them. I would like to thank you all for listening to me again, and I'd also like to thank you for inviting me in. Oh,
Where are we at?
This is chapter 42, and just so you know, I've only got 4 more chapters to go.
4 to go. I love it.
Thank you very much.
Great job, Terry.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Jeff Church, followed by Randall Lorenz, followed by Craig Bronson.
Good morning, folks. Jeff Church here. I run a website, watchdogjeff.com. I'm here to talk about civility. No personal attacks, just civility. Along those lines, I want to make you aware there's a nonprofit group called the Neighborhood Mediation Center. And last I spoke with them, they have offered to stand up and mediate any disputes between any parties, public or private, so that we maybe can return to a sense of civility. If you read the recent article in This is Reno, it had a great picture of me, and it referenced my call for civility. I do want to walk back a couple inaccurate comments in there. First of all, it said I was Jewish. My daughter did her DNA, 38% Jewish. Based on the family history, I think that I probably have a Jewish heritage, but I was not raised Jewish. Secondly, it said that I opposed or that I refused to oppose and comment on anti-Semitism. Of course, that's not accurate. Of course, there's no place for anti-Semitism. There's 2 handouts for your reading pleasure, one of which is a series of tweets, and I recently just joined Twitter. Second one is an email from City Councilman Vice Mayor Reese, for the record, on the official city email. Essentially, and I have 1 minute and 49 seconds left, I'll read you the word-for-word quote from the director of the Downtown Reno Partnership, in part. Go sell your snake oil, anti-Semitic hatred, and extremist candidates somewhere else. Nevada's not buying your bullshit, end quote. She comments on extremist candidates. There's no mistake. She's not talking about the individual that supported them. She's talking about extremist candidates. Unfortunately, Mr. Reese then said, "Thank you, Naoma, for pointing out the truth about these abhorrent candidates." It's unacceptable. Angie Taylor of the school board liked it. Commissioner Alex Hill liked it. Unacceptable. I asked these folks to walk back those comments. I understand if you're opposed to the individual supporter, but there were 15 people. You may be sitting next to these folks at another joint meeting. Mike Clark, Jeannie Herman, good people. They're not anti-Semitic, they're not hatred-filled. And if you're gonna claim they are, I hope people can back it up. To me, it's just so illogical to insult fellow elected officials. You have to work with them. We have to, again, civility, please. And once again, I remind you that the Neighborhood Mediation Center has offered their services. Last I talked to them, I can't speak for them, but they have offered it to help mediate any disputes, public or private. And again, I asked individuals to clarify or walk back their comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jeff.
Madam Clerk, was my email included for the public record?
Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you.
it was. Randall Lawrence, followed by Craig Bronzen, followed by Carlos Elizondo.
Good morning. My name is Randall Craig Lorenz, or at least that's what the Illinois courts say. My real name that my mother gave me was Edward Sventon. At 66 years old, the people that raised me almost all passed away from major illnesses. So in 2018, I was involved in the Healthy Nevada project. When the results came back, I really felt they were all wrong. I was perfectly healthy, that was good. But my ethnicity was wrong, surnames were wrong, nothing in the report reflected me. It was as a result of Suzanne Malik at Trucking Meadows Community College, who runs the genealogy lab there, helped me go a little bit deeper. And in November of 2018, I learned for the first time that I was adopted at 66 years old. I'm now known as a non-paternity event, a late discovery adoptee, a scoop baby era baby. From 1945 to 1970, over 1.5 million babies were given up for adoption. There was also a possibility I was a Dr. Hicks baby. If you don't know who Dr. Hicks was, he would take babies from mothers and sell them out the back door of his clinics across the United States. There's only 10 states that allow adoptees their original birth certificate. Nevada is not one of them. Nevada denies adult adoptees to their original birth certificate. Adoptees all suffer from 7 major illnesses: loss, rejection, shame, guilt, identity, intimacy, master and control. November is Adoption Awareness Month. And I'm asking the mayor to please do a proclamation. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for your bravery in sharing that with us.
Craig Bronzen,
We need to
followed
get
by
that fixed. Just a thought.
Yes, absolutely. Legislature.
Carlos Elizondo.
Good morning. My name is Craig Bronson. I was hoping it was okay to speak at this part. I'm one of the candidates on your agenda for G2 for being considered to be appointed to your Parks Recreation Commission. I have another meeting to go to, and I didn't know how long it would take you to get there, so I've got about an hour. I'll sit and wait, but other than that, I just wanted to take a chance to introduce myself to you. I don't know that you would have any questions of me. I'm a retired Parks Recreation professional, moved here 3.5 years ago with my wife. I'm retired. I live out in Sierra Canyon. I'm actually did a crazy thing and ran for their HOA board, and I'm on that board if I don't have enough to do. So anyway, I'm one of the 4 candidates. I'd love to help in any way I can for the city and Parks Recreation. I have a strong passion for it. I think you have a great city and great facilities and programs, and if there's anything I can do to assist, and you think I'm worthy of being a Park Recreation Commissioner, I'd appreciate it.
Wow, thank you so much.
thank you.
Really appreciate that. And please look for our other boards as well. We could use a lot of help.
All right, Carlos Elizondo.
Good morning. My name is Carlos Elizondo. Yori Park is another park really bad, there's bad environment, anything you can name it there. There's two parks, Yori Parks. I'm talking the one on the 2800 block, by the pepper mill right there in front of. It's a really bad. It's worse than the Paradise Park, But anything you can name bad environment there. One time I was walking by I heard on the news that people get killed there, and I had that confirmed because one time I was walking by the park, and there was a car that was driving by, and somebody came and fired the whole gun to the car, the whole round of the gun, the car. It's a really bad park. It's even worse than the Paradise. They really, to take care as soon as possible of that. Thank you.
All right, Madam Mayor, with that, we don't have any hands raised in the Zoom meeting, so that will close out our public comment period for opening public comment. It should be noted for the record that we did receive one comment, which was general in nature, received prior to 4 p.m. yesterday from Barbara Chadwick that has been distributed to the Reno City Council and is a part of the permanent record. We'll transition into voicemails now, to which we have 3.
Hi, you guys put in a giant concrete curb situation where California and Mayberry divert from each other. And it seems like a really fun place to have a giant aces catcher's net. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but also kind of hilarious. And it is our town. We have far stupider statues running around town. So, just food for thought. We should do something with that giant concrete platform thing, and also to discourage people from driving straight through the sidewalk. That's all I got. Thanks.
Yeah, hello. This is regarding to the construction that you guys got going on State Boulevard. I would appreciate if before you guys start doing the construction, put a protection for our fence. They already broke into right through to our fence because there's no speed limit law and there's no cameras. And owners, we have to pay for the damage, and there's no fair. And there's been like 3 or 4 fences down because the people crash and they drive through the fence, and they don't even pay for that. They run, they hit and run. And this is in the State Boulevard, and this construction is going to be until March. Would you please look into put any type of, I don't know, maybe protection with the metal post or something? This is too much for us. It's going to be open until March. And this is very dangerous, the crushing to our friends. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nancy Clary. This is no emergency. This is just a comment on a request that I put to you in May 19th, and also again in August 3rd of this last year of 2022. And we live in Old Southwest Reno, and we had a request for you to clear the weeds on Plum Lane median, and all the way from the airport to Arlington Avenue. In years past, you guys have done it. This year, you guys didn't do it. And I just wanted to say it's disappointing, it's ugly, and I think people that come in from the airport, that's what they see. And all the way to Arlington Avenue, we have to look at stupid weeds. I even volunteered one year to have people help, and you said no because it was a liability. But it seems a simple enough task that could be done. So hopefully next year, 2023, this gets taken care of. Thank you.
All right, Madam Mayor, with that, we have no additional public comment. We're moving on to item A4, approval of the agenda.
Okay, thank you so much. At this time, may I get a motion? I have a motion. I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, at this time, I'm going to ask for approval of the minutes. I have a
Second.
motion. I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. Madam Clerk, I believe we are going into, where is it? Consent agenda. So I'm going to ask if there's any items the council would like to pull before we go into consent. I'm going to start with you, Councilwoman Weber. I don't have anything. Okay, Councilwoman Dewar.
Not today.
Vice Mayor Reese.
Item B12, please. Boy 12, B12.
Okay. Councilwoman Taylor.
I have disclosures on B11 and B12, please.
Okay. Councilman Martinez.
Nothing from me.
Okay. And Councilwoman Breckus.
Yeah, B10 and B2.
All right. All right, with that said, can I get a motion to approve all the other agenda items?
Second.
Oh, sorry, hold on one. Oh, well,
She pulled it.
yeah.
No.
We'll
You have
open
to
those
say what it
issues.
is, though. What,
So if you want to vote on 11 without polling, we can just make.
I thought we pulled it.
no,
Okay.
We did
we're
not
gonna
pull it.
11.
no.
I think that, Madam Mayor, the point was, City Manager Thornley was saying we don't have to pull it if Councilmember Taylor would like to make her disclosure now.
Yep,
So,
and we can do that too. Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, fellow City Council members, and Madam Clerk, in the interest of full transparency on item B11, I am disclosing that, is that QND? QND is a former client of my consulting firm. Approximately 1 year ago, I completed a consulting engagement for QND. Likewise, in early 2020, I completed a 3-year consulting engagement with SNC. Item B11 seeks approval of $128,545 in construction contract between the city and QND regarding the Summit Ridge Drive Bridge. On this matter, I have sought guidance from the city attorney's office. Today, I do not have any active contracts with QND, nor do I expect to have any contracts with either company in the foreseeable future. I consider both companies former clients, not current or future clients. Moreover, I do not have any interest in either of these agenda items, nor do I have any commitment in a private capacity to the interests of QND. While I do not believe that the independence of my judgment of a reasonable person in my situation would not be materially affected by my prior business dealings with QND, given the timing and out of an abundance of caution, I will not be voting on these items today. Madam Clerk, please accept this disclosure and launch it into the record for this meeting pertaining to these agenda items.
All right, thank you so much. So at this time, I'd like to ask for all other items to be approved.
so just to clear the record, the items that we are not approving is our B12, B10, and B12. I'm sorry, B2,
Two.
B2. My brain is not functioning yet this morning, I apologize. 2, 10, and 12, all other items will be approved.
Well, Madam Mayor,
Go right ahead.
if I may. I just think in abundance of caution, if she's not voting on 11, I just think we should pull it and just vote separate, so it's very clear, so it helps her. You know what I mean?
Item,
B11.
Yep.
So I'll pull B11.
okay,
Yeah.
Okay,
all right, sounds good. All right, may I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you
Second.
so much. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, let's start with Item B2.
Yeah. Okay, B2, I guess I'll start since I pulled it, staff.
Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, my
Go ahead.
acknowledged, yeah, yes. Staff, this is a issuance of a privileged liquor retail license?
Lance Ferrato for the record, that's correct.
Okay, and you did, as our council policy request for the arrangement of agenda items, attached the Planning Commission approval from 2012 for this activity on this properties. And I had some questions about that.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. For those who aren't tracking, this is a convenience store that sells liquor package for off-premise consumption across the street from Reno High. In 2012, the Planning Commission granted special use permits for a convenience store and commercial development within 300 feet of a secondary school. Said that they need to comply with all applicable city codes, plans, reports, materials, etc. My first question is, did you look at the 2012 plans that were submitted with that approval and then go field check those to what's out there on the ground? Because I have, and I don't see that they've maintained any of the landscaping on that property. Number two, the condition is the applicant shall apply for a business license for the project with 18 months from date of final approval and continuously maintain the validity of that permit. What I found is that in inquiry to your staff this summer, the validity of the permit has not been maintained because they came into your office and asked to close down the business in July. So with those two questions, I'm wondering if it's premature or if it's invalid to issue them this license today pursuant to the planning approvals.
As to the first question in regard to the landscaping and the plans, I'm not aware of those conditions. I am aware of the conditions in the special use permit that was provided in 2012 that was approved that addresses the parameters of what can be sold and when it can be sold. As far as our discussions with the applicant, those plan to be followed. As far as the continual operation of the convenience store, you are correct. It did close down in July 31 of this year. It is my understanding that per current planning policy, if the use is not changed within the 12 months, then it still applies. If you have questions, a deeper dive on that, I'm happy to turn that over to planning.
Yeah, maybe planning is here because, we ask you to attach the planning commission to these privilege licenses if there's kind of another layer of regulation on. There is, and that's that they have to, for the whole life of the project, stay consistent with the plans that came in for the planning commission approval. And I think that I would hope that when one of these comes in, someone's not only attaching the special use permit, but then doing field check into the files. So that's question number one. Maybe someone else can do that. And I don't understand planning policy. It wasn't referenced in the staff report. What we go off is code and these approvals, and it says continuously valid.
Okay, I'll defer that question to Angela here.
Good morning, Angela Foos, Assistant Director of Development Services for the record. So that special use permit from 2012, per our zoning code, is valid for up to a year. In other words, if one use goes away, another use has up to a year, if it's the same use, to come in and be grandfathered in under that special use permit. So because the original application was approved. They had their business license within 18 months. They had been operating. They shut down in July of this year. And so they are within the 12-month window from when they shut down to when the new use came in.
May I see that code provision? Could you put it up on the?
I can give it to you. I do not have it on me right now.
Well, I'm being asked to make a decision, and I'd like to see the backup code about this, because I'm hearing policy, I'm hearing code, I'm hearing a term grandfather, which I don't really understand in this context. So that's question number one. And then number two is, does your office get routed these privilege licenses when they come in?
We do.
Did your office check the file for the original special use permit and look at the plans that were in place and then field check those out to what's going out in the world?
We did confirm that there was a special use permit. We attached the special use permit. We reviewed the conditions. We have not gone out and field verified the landscaping. We can do that prior to final issuance of this before we release it.
Okay, because of the sensitivity of this location adjacent to Reno High School, and I've heard over the years number of concerns from parents and families out there, I would like to continue this item to our first meeting in December.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Madam
All those
Mayor,
opposed- Yeah, sorry, you have a question. Maybe someone can help me with my technology here.
Madam Mayor,
there we are.
I
No.
apologize. I'm
Go ahead.
happy that we are to the motion point. Councilmember is right in, Councilmember Breakfast is right in her thinking. But I also wanted to say before we take the vote on the motion, when privileged licenses are in front of us, what do we do with the applicant to notify them that they are going to be in front of council? Because I have said before, Ms. Foos, and you know, that when we are engaged in these discussions and I do not see the applicant in the audience, that seems like an imbalance of power to me. And so I do not care for that way of going about dealing with things. I don't have a ward, so I'm the entire city. So had I known that this item was potentially of interest to the ward member, I would have been in a position to maybe reach out to the applicant to say, I think it's important that you are here to participate fully in your own happening. But otherwise, people believe that the routine nature of licensing just means that it appears here. They may not know about it, and they sometimes find out about it weeks later that their license or whatever was approved. So, and also I want to comment, Ms. Foos, you do an excellent job of educating the council. I very much appreciate your demeanor and grace. It's not supposed to be like an adversarial moment where we're like, we got you on item A12 sub B part little 2 A1. I don't want you to feel like that when you come to council. What I want us to do is be in a collaborative process. So please know that your effort is appreciated, Mr. Frado's, the entire team. These are complicated issues. And obviously, there is an issue going on at this location for which we want to be responsive. But I want to be responsive in a way that is fair and reasonable to all involved. I don't want to pick winners and losers based on a lack of knowledge or oversight into the process. So I appreciate all that you've done to get us to this moment. It looks like we'll be continuing the item if my colleagues agree with Councilmember Breakfast's request, and so I'm supportive of it.
Thank you.
I did want to ask, how do we ensure that they are adhering to what comes before the Planning Commission? Because I'm very familiar with this location as well. It was very concerning. I also remember we have a liquor store not too far away, and I will never forget it. It is ingrained in my head forever that when they came, they said, oh, it's like going to be a mini Whole Foods. It is so far from any mini Whole Foods that it's I think gotten to that point where the council is getting frustrated with some of these liquor licenses and, you know, quite honestly, how they're keeping them. I also think, to Councilwoman Breckis's point, especially since the school is so close, when we look at things like advertising for vaping and other things like that, again, I can think of, this one's not near a school, but it's very close to City Hall. And when I look at it, I physically feel sick. So those are the kinds of things I think we're trying to avoid. And you're sort of the best and the expert at this. So you tell us how we can do a better job up here.
Yeah, and I know this one in particular, one of the topics back in 2012 had to do with pornography and having adult magazines and other adult type uses in the store. And so that was one of the biggest conversation pieces at Planning Commission, is how do we make sure that they don't have adult magazines out where we know there's going to be kids coming in at lunch and after school. So that was the kind of one of the key things. When we had these convenience stores, you know, the majority of convenience stores in Reno have liquor as well. This one also provides all kinds of other uses, right? They've got your Twizzlers and your Twinkies and your gums and your nachos and hot dogs and all the things that if you go to a high school, you're going to go over here and grab a hot dog and a bag of Twinkies. It's typical to our convenience stores, but again, the key thing we were looking at back in 2012 was the adult magazine piece. And so with the liquor piece, we look at calls for service and we make sure that they are abiding by all the rules and regulations. This is a new new business owner coming in. So whatever the previous business owner did or didn't do, right? We got to kind of start fresh and say, you're approved, you went through this process, here's the rules that you have to apply by. So we'll definitely be watching this moving forward, knowing that it is next to a Reno High School.
But how do we hold, like I said, business XYZ down the street accountable?
In terms of the just general concerns.
Yeah.
I mean, a big piece of this is code enforcement, right? When we start getting complaints, whether it's 1 complaint or 5 complaints, it goes to our code enforcement team, and there is a process then that we go through. If we don't get code enforcement complaints, it's just anecdotal and hearsay. And so what we really want to impress upon you guys as council members and those that are hearing from your constituents is, if there is a business that is not complying, have them officially go to Reno Direct and issue a complaint, and then we can investigate it. And whether we need to get Reno Police involved or just code enforcement involved, that's how we can address those issues.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay. Back to you, Madam Clerk. Oh, we do? You still have to
So we
vote.
have a motion to continue on the
Okay.
table.
We have a motion, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, thank you. Moving right along, Madam Clerk.
All right, we're moving on to item B10, pulled by Councilmember Breckus.
Yeah. This is an item, Madam Mayor, if I'm acknowledged to,
Go
since I
ahead.
pulled it.
You are recognized.
This is an item for the purchase and installation of a replacement roof apparatus over a fire station. I don't recall it coming up during budget as a capital improvement. And when I see something coming up outside of the capital improvement budgeting process, I do pull them and want to understand why we weren't tracking this. What happened here?
Yeah, thank you. For the record, Frank Avera, Maintenance and Operations
Frank, will you
Facility
lower
Manager.
the microphone? Please and thank you.
Too short.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Councilmember Breckus. So this item has been on the CIP list for about 5 years now, and it goes before the committee and hasn't made it out of the committee
Okay,
before because it's such a competitive environment.
for this year.
Correct.
Okay. Then I missed it, and I didn't see a reference to it in the staff report.
Got it.
Maybe it was there, I don't know. Okay, but the follow-up questions were, okay, the station was built what year?
2008,
Okay, and it had a how many year warranty?
15-year warranty.
So 2008 and 15 is 22?
23.
23.
Yes.
We're not to 23, so, and we're only getting $6,400 in credit for the warranty?
That was what was left. So it's not a full
Oh,
year.
so the warranty depreciates?
Correct.
Okay, okay. And then this raises another question, and we're getting the new roof is how many year warranty?
20.
20 year, okay. So 20 years, but this is a temporary fire station, correct?
It is not, it's a permanent structure. So the sprunk structure that is over the apparatus bay is a type of building material that's used all over the place. So
Well, why are we again getting, if we've been there since 2008, we don't seem to have any plans to retire the station, why don't we get a permanent roof that lasts more than just 20 years? Because it seems like 20 years is pretty short for a roof. And 15 years is certainly short for a roof.
Correct. So the structure itself is designed as a sprung structure, and it has only one option for a roof. So if we were to build something else more permanent there, that would be a much more costly endeavor.
To put a permanent roof on.
Because it would be a whole new structure.
Are we confident that we won't be, that we'll be, not using this beyond the 20-year period?
So our friends at Capital Projects have been looking for land for the last several years, and during recent round of bonding, there were funds set aside to initiate some of the design of a new fire headquarters.
Yes.
Part of that would be possibly a replacement of this
Yeah,
facility.
yeah. I'm concerned that, while we bonded the design, I don't see an outlook from the finance team that we can have the resources to build it, because we've taken on a lot of general fund debt, and we might be going into a new economic climate. So that's why I was wondering if any consideration was given to just getting a more permanent roofing situation, because we may not get our center's fire station built.
Yep, understood. This is a critical facility. This is our
Okay.
fire station. and
Okay.
we feel this is an emergency and needs to get
Okay,
kind of
and it was on the
remedies.
CIP for this year?
Yes.
Okay. Any other fire roofs coming this year?
We just completed 2 roofs.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the other sprung station one, because
It was
when,
built the same time.
yeah, have we
and
re-roofed
we've-
that one yet?
We've been inspecting it, and it's not failing yet, but it's also a 15-year roof.
So we can look forward to that one. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mr. Rivera, for context, it might be helpful, there's not a picture along with the staff report to describe the tear in the membrane. Right, this is something that we need to do because there's
Yeah, it's
literally a
bad.
hole in the membrane.
It's bad. Yeah.
Catastrophic.
Yeah. Have you seen it? It's
What is always most helpful to me is a reference to the CIP page and where it was programmed in this year's budget. Thank you.
All right, Councilwoman Breckus, do you
I'll
want to
move.
give me a motion? I have a motion from Councilwoman
Second.
Breckus, a second from Vice Mayor Reese. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay.
All right, Madam Mayor, we're moving on to item B11.
All right.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item B11.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries
Oh.
unanimously.
Nope.
For the record, Councilwoman Taylor abstains. Okay. Thank you so much. And then I believe Vice Mayor?
Yes, Madam Mayor, B12 is the item I've pulled. This is improvements to the Robin Hood Park Playground, and so I wanted to get a short presentation on this item.
Okay.
Councilman Reese, I need to read a disclosure.
Okay, let's start
Okay,
with that
go
one.
ahead, Councilwoman Taylor.
Madam Mayor, fellow city council members, and Madam Clerk, in the interest of full transparency, on item B12, I am disclosing that S&C is a former a former client of my consulting firm. Approximately in early 2020, I completed a 3-year consulting engagement for S&C. Item B12 seeks approval of $427,407 park improvements contract for Robin Hood Park. On this matter, I have sought guidance from the city attorney's office. Today, I do not have any active contracts with SNC, nor do I expect to have any contracts in the foreseeable future. Moreover, I do not have any economic interest in in this agenda item, nor do I have any commitment in a private capacity in the interest of SNC. While I do not believe that the independence of judgment of a reasonable person in my situation would not be materially affected by my prior business dealings with SNC, given the timing and out of abundance of caution, I will not be voting on these items today. Madam Clerk, please accept this disclosure and lodge it on the record for this meeting pertaining to this agenda item. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Smith, it's all you.
Thank you. Good morning.
And good morning. This is
morning.
the first time we're seeing you.
Yes, it is.
Are you
yes.
nervous?
Oh, yeah. Definitely nervous. Yeah.
Don't be.
Anytime
be.
an engineer has to present into a large group of people, yeah, we get
You're going to be great. And we love to see new people.
Well, thank you. Yes. Good morning. My name is Jonathan Smith, for the record. I'm a senior civil engineer with the Public Works Department. I have a short 5-slide presentation to go over the location, some milestones, and the proposed improvements for this project.
All right, looks good.
This project's located in Ward 1 on Robin Hood Drive, just south of Brinkby Avenue and to the east of Lakeside Drive. Just to the northeast off this page is the Peppermill Casino and Resort. This project was approved in the fiscal year 21 capital improvement plan. It was approved and funds were allocated by the Community Development Block Grant Subcommittee in fiscal year 21-22. We had a preliminary design that we presented to the Recreation and Parks Commission, as well as the Reno Access Advisory Committee in April, and again to the Ward 1 Neighborhood Advisory Board in May. If awarded today, this will go to construction in the spring of 2023. Existing parks in poor condition in need of some improvements and repair. We've brought some new exciting features that we're proposing for this park. For instance, we're going to resurface and restripe the existing basketball court for futsal and basketball, so it'll be a dual-purpose court. We're going to replace the existing play structure with a new all-inclusive ADA accessible play structure called the Net Climber. That's shown on this slide on the bottom left-hand corner. We're going to do a poured-in-place rubberized surface around the new playground equipment for safety. And we're going to improve the ADA accessibility throughout the park with some new sidewalk connectivity and a reconfiguration of the park's amenities. We're excited to get this project out to construction. I recommend the award to Sierra Nevada Construction and authorize the mayor to sign. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, thank you for the presentation. Always good to see new faces in chambers. I pulled this for two reasons. Can you first go back to the slide that identifies the public input steps?
Sure.
So this is just a moment for us to sort of talk a little bit about this buzzword that often used in our community about transparency and engagement. So I want people in the public who might not know how the sausage is made to understand that before a new park arrives in any place, it goes through a number of different stages. Important among them was the CDBG subcommittee approval, which I have the privilege of serving on that subcommittee. It's also a moment to just reflect on what the dollars that CDBG is eligible uses are, because it's a small pool of money, but it is, I think, a mighty pool of money. It is a pool of money that can be used oftentimes for parks improvements, which we might not have room for in our other generalized general fund. And so I think it's important that the public understand that. The second thing is I appreciate the work that goes into the Parks and Recs Commission taking a look at it, our Access Advisory Commission taking a look at it, and our NAB. So nothing happens in a vacuum, right? There are at least 5 or 6 touches when these things happen, not to mention the staff time that goes into it. So sometimes when people in the public are not fully appreciating the work that goes into a project, even one this small, I just want to be able to call it out and bring attention to it. This is a fantastic project. The park looks incredibly cool. I love the multiple uses for the basketball and futsal space. I love the inclusive nature of the programming for the playground equipment. All of our parks, of course, should be striving for that as we move forward. And so anytime we have the opportunity to add new parks or park amenities rather like this, I think we're doing a good job as a community. So thank you to your team. Thank you to Parks and Rec and all the folks that go into making these happen. Madam Mayor, I would be happy to move for approval of this item.
Madam Mayor, I had a comment too.
Yes, I hope it's the comment that you.
I will second it, and I have a
Thank
comment.
you. So I have a motion and a second. Go ahead.
All right. I just wanted to say, actually, before we made the motion, because it wasn't on the motion, but I had just a few questions. First of all, aside from questions, I'm just absolutely ecstatic about this.
Yeah.
While this shows the timeline actually goes back 7 years before this. So it initiated when this was in Ward 2, my ward.
Yeah.
And I asked for CDBG money for this park. $75,000 was awarded at that time, but it was needed for other projects. So this park was put, on the side. And I'm ecstatic to see this happening regardless of whose ward. I'm pleased. Though the folks that live around there have needed this sorely, a special area for them. And I was just wondering if you could put up the picture again. There you go. I didn't know, under the blue, is that it was a picnic table and it was made of concrete and it was very awkward and difficult and it was spalling. It was horrible. What is it now, the blue?
The blue, it'll remain a picnic area, but we will improve the concrete.
Well, I mean, are you replacing it with something else that's more comfortable to sit on, or?
I can touch on that. Thank you. For the record, Matt Brazina, City of Reno Parks Manager. So the picnic area covered with the blue shade there. The picnic tables are the concrete picnic tables.
Still.
They will remain for now. We're hoping to phase things in the next 10 years, but For this project, we didn't have the funding to upgrade the picnic
Well,
tables.
it's just something to think about because when I sat at the picnic table, the height of the picnic table, even for an adult, me, the height, the bench is down here and the height of the picnic table is up here. It was made of concrete, it's very uncomfortable. There's no way to kind of work with it. Is it reservable under our system or would it just be?
It's not currently reservable.
Well, anyway, I would love to see that get improved at the same time, and I don't know if we can dig deep and, look for that, but what it is now is not very functional and very uncomfortable, and it looks not very good either. So I didn't know if you're gonna like reseal it or something.
We don't have plans
funds
to do that
even
with
to do
this-
that?
Not in this project. No.
Okay. Well, I think we should dig deep, Mr. Manager. I mean, we're doing the park, we're putting almost $500,000, half $500,000 here, but to still end up with this very uncomfortable space to sit, I think it's just something to look at. No one, I mean,
Yeah, it's obsolete.
It's obsolete and it's uncomfortable and it's, it's not child friendly at all, for one thing. But all that said, I'm absolutely ecstatic. I know when I was involved in the project, we talked a lot about that virtually all the trees were dead. And I don't know if they had gotten irrigation or what the plan is for them too.
All the trees that are depicted in this picture are alive and doing well.
The ones that are there now?
Yes, and during the construction process, we're also going to assess the drip irrigation and make sure everything's adequate.
Okay. Well, the reason I bring that up is we just planted 60 trees around a play area like this in South Reno. And one of the challenges is with that rubberized stuff, even though it's safer to land on, it's pretty darn hard too. It's like asphalt. I was very surprised how hot the surface is. Maybe they have even newer materials, but I think the trees are important to shade, provide shade for these playing areas. So just something to think about. So thank you. And kudos to everyone involved. Amazing project.
The other thing I want to point out too, because I know we're getting ready to revitalize a lot of these parks. First of all, I want to say thank you so much, Jamie. You're amazing. The dog park at Virginia Lake. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you guys jumped on it really fast. I just want to point out, because as we've revitalized these parks, that one of the concerns with the benches and the way they're designed, they have the little holes in them, and I'm sure there's a really good reason that they do that. But the concern was, because we see it all the time with our beloved dogs and pets that jump on those, that they get their little paws stuck in those little holes. And so, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd love to address that.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, for the record, Matt Brzezina, City of Reno Parks Manager. And thanks to council donation from Councilmember Breckus, we just replaced both benches at Virginia Lake Dog Park with slatted benches, so the dogs are no longer able to get their paws stuck in the holes.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Councilman Breckus. Really appreciate that, because that was a big concern. So like I said, as we revitalize, that's probably one of those designs we probably want to stay clear of, or we're going to end up keep replacing them. So great job. You did a tremendous job. One more thing I do want to ask, Councilwoman Dewar, was this the park that we did a dedication to Officer Pittman?
Yes.
Craig Pittman.
I don't think it was Pittman.
That was Craig Pittman.
I don't think it's Pittman.
It's Craig Pittman.
Craig Pittman.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes, we dedicated the park. Not while I was here. It was already dedicated, but yes.
I am so glad that we are doing this.
Right.
We really should name it. We should name it Pittman Park. It's a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And by the way, you survived. I thought you did a tremendous job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great job.
Thanks.
All right. With that being said, I'm going to send it back to you, I think, Vice Mayor. No?
Oh, we have a motion and a second.
Oh, you already gave me one. Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. You abstain. Okay, Madam Clerk, going to send it right back to you.
Thank you. 1 second. Just let me update that vote.
Yes.
All right, Madam Mayor, thank you. We're moving on to our F items. So we're on item F1, which is an ordinance adoption to be read by the City Attorney's Office.
I asked her. Yes.
One second, Kim. All right, at this time, I'm going to send it to the ever so famous Carl Hall to read.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance adoption, ordinance number 6639. Ordinance amendment to section 1.040.15, state misdemeanors and civil infractions of the Reno Municipal Code to comply with changes made by the 2021 Nevada Legislature to the Nevada Revised Statutes, converting various traffic violations from misdemeanor crimes to civil infractions.
All right, thank you so much. Madam Clerk, any public comment?
We have none at this time.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Sending it back to you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're moving on to item F2, an ordinance adoption to be read by the City Attorney's Office.
All right, I'm going to send it right back to you, Mr. Carl Hall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance adoption, ordinance number 6640, creation of new ordinance within the Reno Municipal Code, Title 6, Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 6.04, Definitions, Section 6.04.001, Findings for Civil Infractions to acknowledge the changes made by the Nevada Legislature with AB 116 to clarify that any traffic violation contained within the Reno Municipal Code under Title 6 is a civil infraction unless otherwise stated by the Nevada Revised Statutes.
Okay, may I get a motion?
In the absence of any public comment, I'll move the item.
We have no public comment. Thank you.
All right, I have a motion and I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Moving on to item G1, which is an appointment to the Reno City Planning Commission, and this is Vice Mayor Reese's appointment.
Madam Mayor, I'd be honored to nominate Harris Armstrong to the Reno City Planning Commission.
All right, I have a motion from Vice Mayor, a second from Councilwoman Weber. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, moving on to item G2, which is an appointment to the Recreation and Parks Commission.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to ask, do you have any public comment?
We have none registered.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to send it to Councilwoman Weber.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. It is a pleasure having one of our speakers today under public comment here. And the Rec and Parks Commission, I think I said that right, has offered and supports, obviously sending it to us, Craig Bronson and Jerry Wager. But this is Craig out here, and when he spoke, and both of these two folks spoke at our last meeting, and they wanted to know about coming down and sitting with us and sharing that they really want this position. So the Rec and Parks supported them, and I'm bringing them here, and I do believe that they are the great candidates. So I hope that I'll make the motion.
All right, well, I have a motion from Councilwoman Weber, second from Vice Mayor Reese. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion
Thanks for
carries.
being here.
Well, good, no opposition. There you go. Congratulations.
In fact,
Thank you for
unanimous
coming.
support.
I think you're really going to enjoy it. Okay.
All right, Madam Mayor, our final council appointment today is for the election of Vice Mayor for the 2023, I guess the remainder of 22 and 23.
Okay, I would like to motion for Councilman Vice Mayor Reese.
Second.
All right, I have a motion. and a
Discussion.
second. Go ahead, Councilman Breckus.
I didn't hear the motion. What was the motion? Who made the motion?
I made the motion.
Okay, and you have usually made the motion for the vice mayor, and I understand that's a perspective as the mayor that you might have, that you want someone who, maybe is going to do appearances for you that you can't do, but I want to present a different perspective on the role of the vice mayor. And just to let everyone know, our charter because I didn't see a staff report, our charter requires us to appoint the mayor at the first meeting in November. It's just a provision. And I've always felt that the vice mayor is really a decision of the council, first and foremost. That's why I want to call out the mayor making the motion, because the foremost activity of the vice mayor, in my view, and I think it's a true reading of the charter, is the vice mayor acts as our presiding officer when the mayor's not present. So it really should be a conversation among the council members to decide who they want. That's why I object, but I certainly acknowledge that the mayor has the right to make a motion herself. And she does and has. But I just want to offer that other perspective because I think it's more consistent that the council make the motion and put it on the table because this is the person they elevate to act when the mayor's not present. I supported Mr. Reese to be the chair of the Community Development Subcommittee the other day, but I won't support him to act on our behalf when the mayor is not here. And that is based upon the very unfortunate circumstance that I viewed with Jerry Misfit back in May and his ejection from our office for his wardrobe when we don't even have a wardrobe provision in our rules. And I think and I said this before when we appointed him vice mayor after Ms. Jardin left, that I think he just needs a little more training as the chairing person, and that's why I did support him at the subcommittee, but I won't support him to be our vice mayor for the upcoming year. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you so much. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. Okay, Madam Clerk. Okay, any council?
Sorry, Madam Mayor.
It's
So
okay.
we're moving on to item H1,
No,
which is
it's all
city
good.
council
Don't worry
comments.
about it. It's been a long night. I think you're doing amazing. All right, I want to ask council members, any announcements regarding any of your boards or commissions?
I have a
Anything?
question.
Go ahead.
Okay, and I don't know where to bring this up here or under public comment. But we used to have an item, or we have an item on a lot of boards where we ask for an agenda item for the manager to consider or for the mayor to consider. And I don't know where to do that. And so I'm looking for some advice right now.
Good question. All right, I'm going to send it to our city manager, Doug Thornley. What process would you like to see?
So the council rules that were adopted by this body.
Yeah.
If you would like to see an agenda item, you send me.
Do a memo?
You send a memo to me and you copy your colleagues on it so that
Okay.
everybody's apprised of it in writing.
Okay. Well, I'm going to let everyone know that I'm going to send you a memo. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. I think I'd like to send a memo for a future agenda item related to our sewer fees. And I just want to explain really quickly, and I'll put it in writing. I've gotten several calls. You know, last year the CPI was 7%. So it wasn't like we increased our sewer fees 1% or 2% or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. We increased them 7%. And I've had several people call me, and they're really struggling with this level of increase. And so something I thought of is something good or bad that the legislature's done, which is when you have rapidly increasing fees, that you put a cap on how much it could increase in 1 year. Maybe you do it the next year, the rest of it or something. But that's the general drift of where I'm going, is just to have us explore it and discuss it. And I've had one constituent call me repeatedly. You know, I've been here 20 years. Their bill's gone from, I'll just average it, $50 to $160 for the same amount of sewer for 2 people. And it's the sewer use fee, not connection fees. So we haven't adopted connection fees or changed those for 2014. And the perception out there is that they're somehow subsidizing growth, even though I don't believe that they are, you know. But anyway, I just want to have a council conversation about it and see if there's something we can do so when we have like such a big increase, you know, we can moderate it in some way,
Good idea.
potentially.
Good idea.
You know, so.
Yes,
Okay,
we certainly
good.
have a
We could
jumping
look
off
at
point
it.
coming up. As you know, we're going to have a discussion on the
Connection fees.
in the very near term. We can talk about the user fees. I would say, just so that I can close the loop today.
Yeah.
The O&M side of the house, as it relates to operating a sanitary sewer system, is extremely commodity. It's very heavy on the commodity side, right?
Right.
So, you know, the cost of bleach, the cost of the chemical
Sure.
constituents that we use to clean water have all increased.
Of course.
More than 7%. And so, but we can get the breakdown for you and we can have the conversation.
That'd be great. So just an opportunity to talk about it, and they'll know that we're paying attention. Okay, thanks.
Okay, city manager, can I ask a question? I want to say with council rules that we had a subcommittee to put that together. Am I right? Or did we do that as a council as a whole?
I was on it, and
Because
we had
and the
one.
reason I ask is because we have new council members, And so I would like to be able to update that, because a lot of times, some of it doesn't sort of coincide with sort of the process that we do, or to make it easier or to clarify so that some of the concerns that we bring up, to make it clear. Does that make sense? Especially like with some of the motions, I know some of that's probably charter, but I do think that we should look at it, especially with 2 new council members.
We can certainly have the policy and strategy folks comb through the booklet, and we can speak with each of you and figure out what's working and what's not, and propose some adjustments.
Yeah, because I can't remember,
I was on it. I think Mr. Delgado was on it, and there was a third person, and it might have been Mr. Bobsey way back when. I don't know. We had it for quite a few years. We looked at the rules.
Okay.
They haven't been updated in the time
No.
I've been here, so.
That's what I'm saying. I think
It's
it
been
was.
a couple years. We can check in and see what's working and what's not.
Okay, that would be great. All right, thank you so much.
One other thing, I guess this section is called City Council comments, including other things. So I guess this was the right place to make a comment.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right, good. All right, sending it back to you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we are moving on to item J1, which is closing public comment. We do not have any attendees in the Zoom meeting, so there are no hands to be raised. I have no public commenters logged in, and for the record, we did receive one public comment which has been distributed to the Reno City Council. It was received after 4 p.m. yesterday and will be available on the reno.gov website. So today we are just looking for a motion to adjourn.
Right, I'm going to ask our newest city council member, Mr. Martinez, Councilman Martinez, give us your final motion.
Thank you so much. I motion to adjourn the meeting today.
All right, thank you so much. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Yay.
Never seen that, any opposition on that one.